Welcome to the channel. This is Alex, and this is my first Genshin video. I know it's been a long time coming for those on Twitch and Discord. You know, I love Genshin, my favorite game. For the past couple months, years now, I started playing back in 2022, I want to say, and I was definitely sold. I just love all of the storylines and the lore. And I wanted to start making content on YouTube for Genshin a couple months ago, but school was a little bit too much, so I put it on the back burner. Now school is done, so here I am, ready to assume my position as a Genshin lore keeper. However, I credit to all the girls, gender non-specific, all the girls are out there doing the work of like real lore keeping and like the details and going in all of the artifact descriptions and all the things. Shout out to you. I figured if I were to tackle lore in Genshin, it would be probably more the emotional lore, relationships, mental health, psychology is like my background, so I'm gonna tackle it from there. So if I do go into like context, especially for this video, I have a little context work to do. It won't be in detail, and it'll be my version of things. Hopefully it's not too far from what's accurate, but you rock with me as we go, right? So hopefully with these videos, I'm able to tackle a certain angle or perspective or cover a few perspectives on things that stand out to me as I play the game. And of course, if you have thoughts, ideas to add to it, please feel free. So for this video, I just finished up the Archon quest for 5.1, and we're in Natlan now, and we're in the deepness of it, right? Like we're kind of past the halfway point, it feels like, obviously being past more than half of the regions that we know of. So it's very interesting to be at this point, and obviously the way they're like dropping certain things, it's evident that like we're getting somewhere more complex than before, you know? So even in this video, I hope to kind of give an overview, not of the entire story, just the pieces that are important to what I want to talk about, which is ancient names, right? So in Natlan, there's this concept called ancient names. To get there, what is Natlan? Natlan is a pyro region of the game, fire, okay? Long awaited. We've heard about Natlan in different regions. It was just a region of war, war and dragons, they would say. I think that was like the big theme. You get to Natlan, and it's actually split up into different tribes. So in previous regions, it's more like cities, towns, that stuff. Now we're in like tribal area, and you can tell architecturally, aesthetically, they're pulling from different like indigenous, like Aztec influences and references from around the world, it seems like. But specifically, I think there's certain regions it's trying to capture, but again, not this video's purpose. But yeah, each tribe has a different role and really plays a part in the culture of the region, right? So you have the Children of Echoes, Scions of the Canopy, People of the Springs, Masters of the Night Wind, the Flower Feather Clan, and the Collective of Plenty. And these 6 tribes make up the Natlan region, and you'll find the people in each tribe to be diverse in personality, but essentially like have different roles. So in this Archon quest, for example, Scions of the Canopy were really big on being the messengers because their abilities lend to that, right? So what they do is like run around the place and deliver messages and deliver packages, whatever they do. And then you have like Masters of the Night Wind, which we'll get to a little bit later. They're like, in my mind, like the Spooky Yuki tribe. Like they have a connection to the Wayub. They all do. So the Wayub are these like, it's not underground, but it's like under the earth ground. Like it's underground, it's a different realm, okay? But the Wayub are a part of the Night Kingdom. The Night Kingdom is this region that's like underneath Natlan. And a lot of things happen in the Night Kingdom that influence the above ground of Natlan, but specifically the Night Kingdom is where the Abyss, the evil people, evil populations are there. That's where they live. That's where they're camping out, okay? since Natlan was created, the above ground, the people of Natlan, they've been fighting with the Abyss in the Night Kingdom, essentially. So the Archon of the region, aka the leader, also very unique for this region because the Archons of previous regions are godlike. They're not human beings. They like are different people. They're different beings completely. Whereas in Natlan, you can become an Archon from a human. So there's like a big culture of competition and fighting and battle, and really strong people over generations get chosen as Pyro Archons, which is very new for our idea of what an Archon can be. So that's very cool. So you have Mavuika. Mavuika is the current Pyro Archon, and I like her. I like her a lot, actually. I think I can't get into it today, but there's this whole controversy about the skin tones in this region and just how it's not reflective of the references they were trying to make in the aesthetics. That aside, Mavuika as a character, as an Archon, I'm enjoying currently. And I have some questions. I think I liked the introduction of the captain in this patch as well, because previously I don't have any care for harbingers. Like yes, they're important to the story as villains, but they do be kind of scary, and I just don't be liking them all the time. The harbingers are the bad guys above ground. Okay, you got the Abyss underground. The harbingers be the bad guys above ground. But then every patch they try to tell you how they're kind of like multiple motives and they're not all bad people, but deep down I know they're the big baddies, okay? And I'm ready to like see them gone. However, the captain is interesting because he does bring some challenge to Mavuika and her plans to save Natlan from the big baddies underground. And I think it's interesting the points he's able to make and the power he's able to exert to kind of make his point happen. But anyway, Mavuika's plan to defeat the Abyss in Natlan, because this has been a long journey, 500 years, I think, a long journey. So culturally in Natlan, every year or every couple months, I don't know, there's a big competition. And this competition is used to carve out the strongest of the bunch in the region to go fight the Abyss down below, okay? So to make that happen, Mavuika has them fighting, and at some point in each of these people's lives in the region, citizens, warriors, whoever, like, you can get given an ancient name, right? An ancient name is the special title that's been passed down from previous generation, not necessarily in your family bloodline, but somewhere in the region somewhere. Someone had this ancient name, and when they passed away, their ancient name gets passed on to somebody else, right? And the Night Kingdom is really important because the Night Kingdom is recording all the information of Natlan, all the region, all of that. So it's recording history as it stands, right? So the Wayab, who are again beings that are in the Night Kingdom, they are deciding who's getting the ancient names when the other person dies or passes on. So Mavuika's plan is to use certain ancient name bearers. There are like, I think 6 of them plus herself. 6 of them plus herself that she, I don't know how she picked them, if she picked them or someone else picked them, but there's a special few of the special few, basically. So there's ancient name bearers. They are special people. They have special titles. These are special people in the special people that will be selected at a certain, when the time is right, to defeat the Abyss finally. And in this patch, we finally see who they actually are. And we kind of know that her plan is working, right? That being said, with Mavuika's plan now in play, and it was pretty cool, I will say, the gameplay aspect of things. I liked it. I think it's interesting with how they try to change up the game interface every now and then. So I kind of liked the invasion and the percentages going up. Like, it was pretty cool. But that being said, with the idea of the team being set, obviously you are tapped into the storylines of the characters on their way to this journey. And I find it interesting ancient names as a tool in this region, because from the get-go, I was a little bit taken aback at the concept. I was like, is this really going to be helpful? Like, I'm seeing things be kind of harmful in a way, but at the same time, it's like built into the culture. So I don't know chicken or the egg, right? Like I don't know. So let's start with Kachina, right? Kachina is maybe the first character we meet in the region during 5.0 patch. And it's interesting because Kachina is this visibly young girl who has been given an ancient name. I think her ancient name, I don't want to butcher the real name, but it stands for resilience or perseverance, right? So you meet Kachina, she's a soft-spoken girl, and she's having a hard time getting into the competition, the pilgrimage that, again, Mavuika puts on a competition to find the strongest of the bunch to send them to the Night Kingdom to fight them every couple weeks or months. What's important though is only people that can go to the Ancient Kingdom are people that have an ancient name, because Mavuika has a special power as an Archon to bring back the dead of ancient name bearers. So she can't send little old me to the Night Kingdom if I don't have an ancient name, because I won't come back if I die there. And you only get revived if the team wins. So I think 5 people get to go. So Kachina actually does go in this storyline. Kachina goes to the Night Kingdom, and because the team won, even though she died, she gets to come back because the team was victorious. Now, if the whole team died, all their ancient names are literally stuck in the Night Kingdom forever. And so that is a lot of pressure. And again, it makes for a great story because Kachina, I don't know, you can really see the mental pressure of it, and it even feels separate from her name, which I feel like if she was able to really internalize what her name meant in terms of persevering, being resilient, because every year, every month, she's not getting picked for her team, and she's not really being seen as a threat. But her name is resilient. So girl, I think your story is about you persevering. But anyway, prior to her name even meaning something to her, she is just so fragile in terms of self-esteem, and I find that even just the idea of having an ancient name is really hard for her because she doesn't feel like she ever meets up to that expectation. You have other characters like Mualani, who's like her bestie in this, also ancient name bearer, and I don't know if it's like, I think it's personality to an extent, as kind of like that nature nurture, but personality, I think how her people rally around her and make her feel a certain way as a guide of the region. Like Mualani is very confident. So I think you in the storyline aspect, you have Kachina and Mualani contrast each other a lot with their personality. Kachina is literally like, please save her, and Mualani is like doing all the saving, you know? And you're able to see Kachina kind of lean on Mualani for some ego strength, where she is able to use Mualani's faith in her to kind of move along, which is it's a cute idea, right? That being said though, it doesn't feel like it's enough sometimes for Kachina, especially when every aspect of their existence essentially has to do with comparison, fighting. It's interesting even looking at the culture of Natlan, how certain personalities or certain ideas are just more encouraged, I feel like, because I found it really strange at first. The 2 guys during the pilgrimage that Kachina won, where they were like really upset at her, and like I guess they lost to her during the matches, and they were like really upset, calling out her name, acting crazy, and they had to like get it shut down or whatever. But I'm like, when you are in this position, in this environment, like why would they not be reacting this way if their entire life and, you know, being is pronged on winning, right, and not being a loser, essentially, especially when if you do lose in the Night Kingdom, you're dead unless you get revived back. Like, it's a really big deal. So certain personalities or certain motivations probably are less, it's more likely to be a thing, right? Which again is like, if that's what you want to have in your society, that's fine. But I find it interesting, like, them being a region that is just pronged on winning and pronged on victory, right? But like I said, ancient name bearers have a sense of privilege to them as well. You don't really meet people in this storyline that use the ancient name against other people per se. I'm not sure if that guy, I didn't play all of the story quest yet, but I'm not sure if that guy that helped Mualani or there's a tour guide in Mualani's the tribal quest they did. We go to the mysterious island. There's an obnoxious guy there. I don't know if he's ancient name bearer or not, but there are definitely obnoxious people in the region. But I'm not sure if they don't try to show us the people that are ancient name bearers having a bad attitude per se, right? So essentially the Wyab down there, they are making diligent choices for the most part as far as what we can see, right? But besides mental pressure, you also have literally physical pressure. Introducing Xilonen in this patch, who I love. She reveals she's the ancient name forger. Okay, she is the doll. She is the girl who they go to when ancient name needs to be made. Okay, because ancient names can be given to people from the sky, but she can also forge them herself, and I guess can get them blessed by the Wyab or something. So Xilonen reveals in this patch because part of our reward as the main character for helping them win this big battle is we're gonna get given an ancient name, essentially, which is supposed to be a really big deal, right? Xilonen reveals in a conversation with the Lord of the Nightwind, who is this, again, in the undercover spooky wookie world, she's down there somewhere being important, along with the Wyab, I guess. Xilonen reveals that to give an ancient name, it requires some of her life force, essentially, as a person. That's what I gathered from what I was reading or listening to. It requires some life force of hers, which I think was crazy to hear because I'm like, hold on. First of all, y'all already have Kachina out here stressed for this ancient name. Now you tell me that Xilonen loses a part of her life force or whatever to give an ancient name away, which again makes sense. The Lord of the Nightwind explains, or the Lord of the Night Kingdom, I can't remember the difference. The Lord of the Night Kingdom explains that basically to get life, you have to give life, essentially. So yes, this privilege of giving someone an opportunity to be revived in a battle it costs something. And so yeah, it gotta cost somebody. Something's gonna cost Xilonen, which is crazy because guess who didn't pick their ancient name? Xilonen. So again, it's like, I could see if Xilonen signed up for this, which to an extent, you can get an ancient name and deny it, or deny its responsibility. And the same way you deny your role someone gave you. But at the same time, in this culture, in Natlan, you really can't. I look at what Xilonen is going through, Kachina, and that's why she's so stressed. As stressed as she feels, she really can't quit. So it's like, yeah, she's resilient, yeah, she's perseverant, but like, I don't know if she had a choice not to be, you know? And I don't know, in my like soft life era, I don't know if I like that. And I guess I'm projecting a lot because I don't know if I could really do it in Natlan like that. I don't know if I would be built for that. Because it really, it informed me of this culture of reaction, I think, in Natlan, where it's like, again, I think historical because the region was born out of this conflict from its previous iteration as a region into this situation where the existence of Natlan is also the existence of the Night Kingdom, which is the existence of the Abyss in the Night Kingdom that's terrorizing them almost like a natural disaster, which is interesting too, I guess, time-wise in the year itself that we're in because of the hurricane season and all of that, and praying for those dealing with hurricanes and the aftermath of all that. But it's interesting timing because they describe the Abyss's deployments into different parts of the region as almost a natural disaster, like a hurricane striking, essentially, or earthquake. And that's kind of part of that game I was talking about, the feature where like you're kind of damage controlling the area based on what's happening in any given point in the story. It was cool. But anyway, yeah, this culture of reaction is inevitable given the circumstances that we're in, right? So you have this idea of just knowing that I'm here, and because I'm here and because you're here, one of us has to go somewhere because one of us is stronger. We have to win. We're reacting to the Abyss. We're reacting to each other. We're reacting to the pilgrimage, the fighting, the winning from fights. Like, it's just so to me. And I even noticed it, again, back to even how the game is set up in this region. Other regions, Sumeru and Azuma, really Mondstadt as well, like, the way they're set up, the citizens of the towns and the communities that you're talking to and doing quests for are normally different than the people you're fighting in the wild. You know, especially like Sumeru, which has its own, again, maybe some issues there referentially. But regardless, they separate like enemies you're fighting versus people, right? In Natlan though, baby, you could be fighting anybody. The person you're helping the quest over in the commission on Tuesday can be your enemy on Thursday. Like the way you walk around the city and walk around the areas, everybody's dressed the same from different tribes and they're fighting because that is what they do. They fight. So I think even just playing the first few days of the patch, I was like, okay, this is new for me because I'm used to knowing you're bad and you're good. But in Natlan, everybody can get something, and that's so funny to me because that's like new for me, and I don't know again what that means psychologically for people, but it must mean something, right? At any moment, I could be your friend or I could be not your friend, you know? I think it's interesting, which also brings up how they introduced in this newest patch Citlali and Ororon, which I did appreciate. I think they're really cute. It came on kind of awkward, especially with the voiceover issues in the English version. But I thought Citlali and Ororon were definitely big, especially Citlali was a big personality to add to all of this, and I think it really helped add some more layers to the story. Citlali and Ororon, I think, also storyline-wise, gave us this really interesting theme of, I don't know what to call it right now, but the idea of like the roles we carry and maybe even like the mask we have to wear. Citlali being a part of and Ororon, they're both Master of the Nightwind clan. Again, the Spooky Yuki magic people. And they have some extra special connection with the Wyab in some way. They're like, you know, again, Spooky Yuki and magical and can cast spells and don't know different stuff, right? So Citlali is this like, she's supposed to be old. I really can't tell yet now. Someone can let me know. Is she really old, or they call her granny, but she looks young, and that's the joke. But she also is really wise and is really seasoned and the best at what she does. And then you have Ororon, who is this basically orphan child. He reminded me of Shenhe a lot from Liyue, but different as well. But basically in the storyline, like Shenhe, like she was born and then left behind, and the people in the community took care of Ororon and raised him up to be a decent person. But Ororon ends up getting co-opted. Well, the way you look at it, Ororon ends up involving himself with the Fatui and the captain, and that gets all messy because that's really Citlali's son, you know, when you look at it spiritually. So you have this kind of like tit for tat with Ororon and Citlali that's really cute, and they mimic this kind of parent-child relationship. And it's interesting because Citlali has this thing with us, the main character, where we're trying to help her find Ororon, and she gives us a spell that lets us use part of her senses. But she doesn't know that we actually can hear her thoughts as well, Citlali. And so we kind of get her idea of her inner world, right? So again, I think there's this theme of like what she's giving off and projecting versus what she's internalizing. And I feel the same way with Ororon, because Ororon ends up capturing our mind for a couple minutes to talk to the captain. And when he gets us out of there, he tells us that like, I need you to not tell Citlali what's happening for her own safety, rah, rah, rah. Another layer of, again, secrecy and masking something. And in the end of all of this, Ororon gets an ancient name. He's supposed to be the Nightwind representative from Mavuika's plan, right? So all this being said, it made me think about the ancient names and how ancient names, to an extent, is also a projection of something, right? So the Wyab somewhere down there believe you to be this person, and based on who you are and how well you can connect with that idea in your mind will create a certain kind of person, right? So I think part of Kachina's lack of self-esteem, low self-esteem, is a reflection of her distance that she feels from her ancient name, right? Versus Mualani, because it's so congruent with who she already is, maybe, or because she's so connected to what is calling to her, she carries it a lot better, right? So I think there's something here about like, again, like the mask we wear, but also our relationship to those masks, right? And I think Natlan as a whole is a sort of it's using physical tools and devices to talk about, I think, society regularly, because I think in a regular family system or regular environment, like, we are given certain titles, whether that be from who came before us and what we remind people of, or what people want us to be in the future, projecting an ideal self onto us. I think we carry ancient names with us all the time, right? Whether it's stuff that we identify with or not. I thought it's interesting that Citlali says, I wrote this down even, but she said, for some reason, he, as an Ororon, thinks he owes something to the people that care for him. Now, this is in reference to Ororon's situation of feeling indebted to the community to offer something to the captain to help Natlan, because Ororon was born with a certain condition that was supposed to help Natlan, but the plan didn't follow through, essentially. That could be a whole different video, Ororon's situation, because I thought that was crazy. And also the connection between Ororon and religious principles and like the idea of angels later on in the patch. But anyway, fascinating stuff, because Citlali, that's kind of crazy. Like, why wouldn't Ororon, in this culture of duty and sacrifice, feel indebted to have to give something of himself or throw himself in the ring to save Natlan? Like, why wouldn't he think he owes something? That was kind of wild to me. And again, maybe it's just, and again, Citlali being the elder, she's the granny. She's supposed to be knowing, she's supposed to be the wisdom. So I found it weird that she didn't pick up on why Ororon would do that. And I couldn't tell if that was just her own indifference towards his actions or her genuine ignorance towards the situation at hand. But all that to say, with all these social pressures that even Citlali and Ororon's relationship bring us, in terms of the pressure to be good, the pressure to do the right thing, the pressure to be respectful and respect your elders, right? And the way we'll mask ourselves to our peers and also our subordinates in order to present a certain front that we know we're doing, right? And it's interesting because it's like, without the social pressure, without the ancient names, without, again, having to react to what's around us, who really are these people, you know? And can we even define Kachinas or Mualanis or Xilonens or Citlalis or Ororon without having to talk about what they're tied to, right? And I think, it's an extension to our society today, is like, without what we do for work, without what we do in our families, our roles, what year we were born, right? Like, are you the middle child, youngest child, firstborn? Without all of these titles and definitions, like, is there really a person still there? Like, is there someone there? It's existential, really, but who really are we, right? If we don't have these associations and titles and jobs to do, you know? And so I think Natlan triggers a certain grievance I have in society, but also it's been a way for me to accept that it is the way society does go. And in different cultures, it's a little more intense and apparent and visible. But I think we all have an element of that in our lives where we are doing something or a part of something because of someone else's decisions or something that came before us, or something that was placed on us to fulfill, right? And sometimes our personality, our actions, what we believe in, can actually stem from what we think we're expected to do as people, before it's actually the personal decision that came from a genuine free will, right? So those are my thoughts on Natlan so far, at least this aspect of Natlan. And I think it's really interesting. I think it's cool stuff. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm not good at guessing. I don't be trying to guess stuff, but I'm very curious to see how this wraps up in future patches. So yeah, thank you for watching. I had a great time. Let me know if you like this. Give it a like, comment what you thought, anything I missed, anything you want to add to what I've said. I would love to do more of these in the future. I just made a new account on Genshin just for lore keeping, so I'm back at Mondstadt as well. Started from the beginning, trying to get the details right in my head. So if you have ideas on what I could cover from previous patches or previous storylines, there are definitely a few things I know I want to hit. But of course, would love your feedback on things. I'm also over on Twitch, also where Chibi Alex is featured heavily, so I'm usually co-working or playing Genshin or something else. So yeah, come on over there. Also, there's a Discord channel where you can join, talk about Genshin. That would be great. I need more Genshin friends. So yeah, that's all I have for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.